Skills development is instrumental in creating societies that are able to respond to social and economic development challenges they face. While Zambia has made strides in achieving universal primary education, a key challenge remains in skills training, as in the past, more focus was placed on preparing learners for white-collar jobs.
Now, when you look at human capital development, in the past, there's been a lot of emphasis on university education. Yes, that's one arm of developing the human capital, but usually people that go through university education, they are not hands-on. Therefore, you need to have a balancing act as a country if you want to get where you want to be economically. And what you need is to develop a pool of a group of people that are known as artisans, which are usually the people that are hands-on. And these are the kind of people that we are producing through our TVET institutions, our skills development centers, and our trade schools. Therefore, as a government, we did recognize that the need for these people is huge.
Zambia's Vision 2030 emphasizes developing quality human capital, including investing in quality education and skills development. Skills development is expected to produce an efficient and inclusive labor force which can resolve mismatches in workforce, demand and supply, and enable citizens to participate in the nation's economic growth. Technical education, vocational and entrepreneurship training (TVET) plays an important role in contributing to building human capital that will effectively support economic diversification. The introduction of the Skills Development Levy will boost wealth creation and lead to a reduction in unemployment levels among the youth.
The only way we could bring everybody to the table to contribute to this ambitious initiative of training the human capital was to introduce a skills development levy. So if you like, this levy is just inviting everybody to the table to contribute in a small way to the training of the human capital that is required in this country. So that's how we came up with the skills development levy. It's worked very well in that some of the institutions religiously every end of the month contribute to this training through the funds that they're giving us through ZRA and the Ministry of Finance. And we have seen a tremendous improvement, because where we had, for example, works or infrastructure not completed, like we have the case of Mwense Trade School in Mwense, in Wapula province, through the skills development levy, we've been able to expedite the completion of this infrastructure. And now we are looking at how we can do the same for Isoka Trade School. But furthermore, a lot of our students didn't have scholarships, and they had parents who were not able to pay. So it's what you say in English, the heart is willing, the soul is willing, but the capacity is not there. So we have actually raised the support to students through scholarships, and a lot of our children are able to access this tertiary education in the trade schools and colleges.
The government will, in the 7th National Development Plan period, promote establishment of more vocational training institutions to support the development of practical skills in science, technology, and engineering.
If you read that 7th National Development Plan, issues of education run across. In fact, as a ministry, we should not even belong to any cluster. We should be a ministry that is sitting on every cluster, so that we are able to say, if the economic clusters are sitting, we should be able to show how we are contributing to the economic cluster. If the social cluster is sitting, we should be able to show how we are contributing to the social cluster, and so on and so on. That's who we are. Therefore, now when you isolate skills, you know why Zimbabwe stood even in the most difficult times? Is because Zimbabwe, for a long time, as far as I can remember, actually put a very high premium on skills development.
Through skills training, Zambia's youth have a chance to realize their potential to be the innovators, creators, builders, and leaders of sustainable development. Because of its important role in the national sustainable development, government has come up with a deliberate measure that will help in providing skills and subsequently create jobs to people who have either dropped out of school or have faced challenges in accessing tertiary education but want to acquire life skills. This year, the Ministry of Higher Education through TVETA signed 178 contracts worth 9.9 million kwacha for out-of-school youths, small and medium enterprises in informal sector training in different skill areas. The contracts were signed with 46 training providers across the country. About 4,200 unskilled out-of-school youth, small and medium enterprises and informal sector players who needed skilling, upskilling or reskilling benefited.
I think it's common knowledge that I think TVET in the country has been facing quite a number of challenges in the past, and some of those challenges could have been contributed by inadequate financing of the sector. And when we talk about challenges, we are talking about issues that relate to the quality of TVET, issues that relate to quantity in terms of numbers of people accessing training, but also issues of making our TVET system relevant to the needs of industry, as it were. So arising from that, from the quality aspect of it, you would identify things such as our training institutions being unable to procure state-of-the-art training equipment and even the training materials that are required to assist them to develop the skilled personnel that this economy wants very much. So through the Skills Development Fund, we now have an opportunity for government to mobilize resources and invest in the sector by way of assisting training institutions to procure training equipment, teaching and learning materials, including reference materials, but also, most important, the development of curricula. I think from where we stand as a TVETA, we are also charged with the responsibility of facilitating the development of curriculum. But that demands a lot of money. But through the Skills Development Fund now, we can access some of the proceeds of those monies to invest in curriculum development, which then can guide our training providers to deliver the training that the industry expects. But also, we also have an opportunity now to also try and support human resource development, especially in those areas that are not heavily resourced. There are certain programs where even if you developed good curriculum and you procure teaching and learning materials that is relevant to the development of the skill required, if there are no teachers out there, there are no trainers, then it becomes a problem. So we see the Skills Development Levy being an opportunity to help us achieve quality delivery of TVET so that then we can respond to the needs of industry.
The funds for training are proceeds of the Skills Development Fund. The Skills Development Fund was established under the Skills Development Levy Act No. 46 of 2016 and is administered by the Ministry of Higher Education. The Skills Development Levy is collected from employers at 0.5% of their payroll. The introduction of the Skills Development Levy is supplementing government funding towards the Technical Education, Vocational and Entrepreneurship Training TVETA Fund.
As government, we wish to thank the industry for this huge contribution and assure them that the funds accumulated under the Skills Development Fund will go a long way in improving the skills development sector, and already we are seeing the changes. Already we are seeing the appreciation of the people across the country. So let industry be assured that these funds are safe and are being well utilized. And as government, through the leadership of His Excellency the President, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, we will try our level best to ensure that we implement the policies within the TVET sector, within skills development, so that we meet the aspirations of industrialization. Because Zambia needs to industrialize. And we cannot industrialize the country without skills development in the various areas: metal fabrication, electrical, automobile, pharmaceutical, environmental health, radiography, physiotherapy, metal fabrication. So for us to change this economy into an industrial economy, we need the skills. Countries like South Korea, Brazil, Taiwan, Vietnam, all these upcoming economies, they have industrialized because of skills. As a government, we continue to fund the skills. Therefore, the arrival of the Skills Development Fund for us is a blessing, and it will help a lot. Of course, this is amidst the normal funding from government, which has been coming before. But in terms of the skills development, what we want are results. What we want is the impact.
Training institutions registered with TVETA submitted training proposals in different training programs for funding under the Skills Development Fund. The training programs were arrived at after thorough training needs assessments conducted by training institutions in their respective areas of operation. The training needs assessments were done in relation to the local specific context, with particular attention to informal economy. Because of the nature of the target group, the programs were designed to be hands-on, with training emphasis placed on practicals and just a small component of theory. In the quiet and serene Chikupi area lies Chikupi Vocational Training Center, run by the Catholic Diocese of Lusaka. Chikupi has received funding amounting to 288,000 kwacha for 6 training programs: bricklaying and plastering, metal fabrication, poultry production, general agriculture, horticulture, design, carting and tailoring.
So far, I've learned how to take care of chicks in the poultry there. We went in the poultry and also in the garden, how to plant vegetables and pig management here in the poultry, pig garrison. Because I've learned so far so many skills here, for now I can manage to start my own business.